So Seattle covers the -4.5. This game opened up at 3.5 at the top of the post conference championships, and the game went under, which I know is really, really popular. A lot of people, including us, kind of looked at this as a defensive battle. It got a little scary at the end there. There was some, I don't want to call it garbage time production, Jay, but obviously there was a little bit of a feel of that the point total was chased. But this was also the first time a favorite has covered since Super Bowl 54, when the Chiefs were just a 1.5 favorite over the Niners.
Yeah, so I would say it was garbage time. It was kind of reminiscent of Mahomes last year against the Eagles with those bomb plays to Xavier Worthy, padding the stats a little bit and padding the score. I mean, in the end, Drake May had 295 passing yards, which is odd because in real time it felt like he had 6 for the whole game. But he was able to get those completions, particularly to Mac Hollins at the end. And yeah, ended up 29-13. Doesn't really feel like a reflection of the game. It felt more like 17-0, to be frank. But yeah, ultimately under hits. The favorite hits, I think most of the public was on Seattle and thought that this might be a blowout, but the line held pretty firm. I think ultimately if the game was played again, obviously Seattle would be more heavily favored, but it could have unfolded differently. For as dominant as the Seattle defense was, their offense was not particularly dominant. They couldn't finish in the red zone until Darnold connected with A.J. Barner. But ultimately, the defining aspect of the game, Connor, was just Seattle's defense flying around, Drake May not being able to do anything. And if I'm going to remember one player from this game, it's probably Devon Witherspoon.
Without a doubt, it felt like that blitz off the edge. And, Witherspoon is a guy that plays a lot in the slot. He can play outside corner. But his ability in the box is what makes him one of the most special corners in the NFL. There's just not a lot of corners, especially at his size, that are that physical and that fast coming downhill. And Matthew, just New England never had an answer for it. It felt like they got beat by the same blitz throughout the first 3 quarters of the game. The pass protection with the 2 rookies on the left side of their offensive line was, a huge storyline coming into this game, and it felt like an even bigger storyline during the game. And Drake May held on to the ball a lot, trying to make a play, and took a lot of sacks and had turnovers. It just felt like New England, who their veteran coaching staff always has an answer coming out of the half, couldn't find it in this game, specifically on offense.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a lot about the offensive line, and one of the reasons why one of the prop bets that I gave out as part of my parlay was that, Drake May over on the rushing. And so depending on what line you got, the line I gave an alt line of 25, which he hit. The line, I think, closed at 39.5, which he did not. He finishes with 37. But, kind of the thought that we talked about all week long was he's going to be running for his life, and that's exactly what ended up happening here. Seattle, by the way, saw a stat here, but Seattle did not blitz all that much. They were able to get pressure just with that front 4. Tough day out of the office for the Patriots offensive line. And, listen, credit to the Seahawks defense. But I don't think, Connor, from what I saw, and I actually, I was watching it in the stands with my wife and kids. So, I'm not going to lie to you guys and say that I was closely watching every game. There's a lot of Dad, get me some chicken tenders, so a couple of chicken tender plays off, you understand. And Jay, they were definitely for my daughters. And
I was going to say, for the kids.
Say. Yeah. I didn't know that chicken tenders were a genetic condition that get passed down to one's offspring.
They are. Yeah, absolutely. But at any rate, but it just felt like they didn't do much defensively that was exotic. It felt like they were just we're going to do what we do. We're going to rush. That's right. We're going to drop 7. We're going to, we'll blitz here and there. But for the most part, we think our guys are better than your guys. And we're going to wait to see if you prove us wrong. And the Patriots just never did.
No, it felt like Mike McDonald came into this game going, I think we're better than them. We match up better defensively, where we're going to rush 4, and we do have the blitz with Witherspoon that can kind of be our sweet spot when to kind of press that button, where you play a lot of zone coverages on the back end that we mix up, and we can rotate the safety. And May, for at least the first 3 quarters, just never read any of them. And it's a tough balance, guys, when you're under duress so fast, and even with a 5-man protection against a 4-man rush, but you're also not confident in what you're seeing pre and post snap. That's how it leads to you taking so many sacks, or the interception at the end was just It was a couple throws that you're just looking at and going, he's just not seeing the field well at all. They couldn't just lean on their run game with Ramondre Stevenson. It did feel like the few times they tried to run some outside zone with Travion Henderson, there was some room there with his speed getting to the edge, but they didn't come out into the game expecting to be able to do that, so they didn't lean on it. And it was simply just too late. But you're right, Matthew. Mike McDonald said, I'll make my adjustments on the defensive side of the ball in the second half if I have to, but we're just going to remain true to who we are, because outside of Matthew Stafford, the MVP of this year's NFL season, it felt like no quarterback can figure out this Seattle defense like that.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.